The Tier 10 Atlay main battle tank is the second Turkish MBT added into armored warfare. Intended as the ultimate reward for the Battle Path event, it is a unique and highly sought-after vehicle. Designed in the 90s as an independent, locally produced vehicle by the Turkish Armed Forces, and later with a joint technology agreement between Otokar and various other Turkish companies, the South Korean company Hyundai provided technical support for the tank. In 2018, it still has not entered production, but is the source of national pride as Turkey's first domestically produced MBT. With a 1,800 horsepower engine, a powerful gun, and touted as equal to the finest European tanks, the Atlay is a welcome introduction to both the real world and armored warfare. In armored warfare, it has a 5-clip ready rack and exceptional mobility. It will surely be a tough opponent to come across, and a rewarding, unique vehicle to drive with its automatic and manual hydromatic suspension.
Greetings and welcome to Armored Warfare with a special overview of the Tier 10 Atlay Turkish main battle tank. This is possibly one of the most unique vehicles added to the game, and it comes with some serious firepower, mobility, and relatively decent armour. For starters, let's have a look at the modifications. It comes with your standard stock armour, spore liner, a hard kill and a soft kill APS, a relatively decent L55 cannon that has a 5-shot salvo, and a 3.5 second reload between them, as well as a BAE 1800 horsepower hybrid engine. However, that does not tell the entire story, as the Atlay is equipped with a hydromatic suspension. As you can see here, the tank is actually riding relatively hot top, but let's get back to that later. For starters, the gun gives you 850mm of pen, which is absolutely exceptional. You get some heat rounds as well, and the usual MBT retrofits load as well. Relatively decent camouflage at 20%, a not so good top speed, a very good 0 to 32. It's 65 tons, and overall speaking, the tank has a very good amount of hit points at 3,500, with the turret being very well armoured and the whole section being pretty decent as well. Targeting wise, if the game will let me, the tank has pretty damn good gun depression, as you can see here. A pretty decent aim time at 1.98 seconds and a very good turret traverse as well. Overall speaking, this is a pretty decent vehicle. However, it does have its flaws. For instance, there is a gap in that mantle there, which can be penetrated, as well as this lower plate here, which the upper plate, which when you use the hydromatic suspension and you're above it, you might be able to lob a shot in, but the lower plate of the vehicle is incredibly weak, with the middle plate being around 828, which is pretty good. However, that lower plate is possibly the weakest lower plate of any MBT in Tier 10. Just about anything, including possibly Tier 6s, will go straight through your lower plate, which means this thing is going to need to hide. Apart from that, the side armor isn't particularly anything special either. Roughly Black Eagle / Type 99 levels of side armor here, so going hull down is going to be a priority, as even the middle of the lower plate, you might as well shoot it. For instance, if we're going to use the standard 800mm of pen on every single Tier 10 MBT, which, if you'll excuse me, XM1A3. Give me a sec here. I think the game may have bugged the XM1A3 shells. Okay, let's just use the Type 99 instead. So, overall, the 800 pen, which is the standard on most Tier 10 MBTs, will be able to roughly basically butter the lower plate with a 100% chance. No angle will save it unless, of course, your side armor is basically shown, and there's a roughly a 50% chance of going through the upper middle plate as well. So things can be awkward, generally speaking, and there's also pretty decent chance of going through that place as well. As said before, the side armor is butter. It does come with a soft kill APS, which I believe is there, with the ammo rack actually being in the lower plate part of the tank here, as you can see. So third wheel, second and third wheels, aim right there. And when the tank goes to its hydromatic suspension, which I'm unsure if that's actually a good idea or not, you basically just aim a little bit lower. And as we can see here, the side armor is also basically useless as well. At the time of this recording, taking this thing out to battle would actually be a bad idea. So instead we're going to have a look at the commanders. I would probably recommend using either Philip or Rachel, as they give you some pretty decent buffs. Philip's buff, for example, gives you crew skills, module damage, etc, 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 etc. However, if you seriously wanted to, you could maybe use Juan, as Juan gives you light tank skills, pretty good camo range, and also gives you a hell of a lot of crew stats as well. Considering this vehicle gives a loader, the moment you use your repair kit, you'll get a 15% crew skill increase, which is actually pretty decent, as well as some stabilization. So in my honest opinion, Philip, Rachel, or Juan. As said before, this tank does have hydromatic suspension, so we're going to have a quick look at it. And I very much hope you enjoyed the introduction done by my friend. She is a professional voice actor and a lovely, lovely person. Thank you to Ginkasun for that. Apart from this, as you can see, we have a 5-round clip with a 7.42 reload between them. We'll just fire off the shells quickly. Pretty decent damage when you think about it. And then lastly, we'll finish off a comparison. But as you see here, the tank rides very high, which means, in all honesty, hiding that lower plate is going to be a bit of a chore. So in total, it's going to take about roughly 35 seconds for the tank to fully load everything. A 7.42 second reload time means it has the lowest reload of any 120mm or 125mm of any tier 10 MBT. So if you can catch these things while they're reloading, you should be able to butter them. The penetration of 850 is frankly exceptional, and the tank does come with hydromatic suspension as seen here, which I'm unsure where you'll be able to use that, but the tank does ride very, very high. I think it's even higher than Type 90. And then lastly, you have the hydromatic suspension here, which kind of turns it into a regular tank. High, low, rather than the Type 90, which already starts kind of low and then goes, well, even lower. Apart from this, it does suffer from some reduced mobility. However, it might be beneficial to permanently go in this mode, except when moving, as it does give you a much lower profile. And that's generally what you want, because the tank kind of lacks in the armor department. And the ready rack, while kind of good, it does suffer from the Centauro 120's weakness, is when you empty that ready rack, you're kind of vulnerable. You no longer have the ability to punish people. So overall, it's kind of a mixed bag, and very good firepower, very good mobility. However, the top speed kind of sucks. As you can see here with Carlos, we're roughly moving it to around 58 kilometers an hour. So
identify target.
Gonna see if we can figure out the crew stats here and consumable to see how that goes. Alrighty then. Okay, no damage to the left track yet, which is kind of annoying. Maybe I should stop killing the AI. But yeah, as you can see here, the top speed does kind of limit it. Whereas the Black Eagle, the Armada, and the Type do damnably fast. This thing instead does kind of seem to have issues. It'll get off the start really quickly, but Okay, it seems I can't damage my tracks, which is kind of annoying.
Identify.
Well, that's it for that. But anyway, you should see a roughly 15% increase in your crew stats, which means your reload time may go down to around roughly 7 seconds. So, it does have incredibly high DPM, and as we know, the XM1A3 is kind of the DPM king in Tier 10. So, Black Eagle, Merc, Armada, Type, XM1A3. All of these are with fully outkitted vehicles. As you see here, the Atlay has the lowest damage, a little bit less than the XM1A3. However, it has extremely high penetration out of all of the fast-firing vehicles. It has a very high DPM, which is only equaled by the XM1A3, which I believe the XM1A3 should be able to beat it in a fight. But as you can see here, the reload time is awful compared to the rest, with only the Type 99A2 going into the 7 seconds territory, and it is going to be vastly beaten by an Armada, an XM1A3, a Black Eagle, and perhaps a Merkava. It does have very good hit points. It has roughly the lowest, but 3,500 is still pretty good. The turret is probably going to be impenetrable, but the hull armor, it probably has the weakest in Tier 10. It has a very, very low top speed, but also a very high 2.56, and it is also a very heavy vehicle as well, with only the XM1A3 and the Merkava matching it. Overall speaking, the camouflage is pretty good, as well as the view range. The gun depression is basically the best. However, it does have somewhat worse accuracy and aim time, with the exception of the Armada, but it does have very high turret traverse and some pretty decent hull traverse as well, with it only really being equaled or surpassed by the Type 99A2. Generally speaking, I imagine I'm probably going to have a lot of fun with this tank. Given that, as you can see, I basically took out a lot of gold for this. Overall speaking, the reason why I got this was because I had 50,000 gold. I paid 7,000 gold for the battle path, and I basically went straight through and I got the Armada, well, the Atlay at level 50. So for you tournament guys out there who have a lot of gold, you can kind of skip it, I guess. Overall speaking, I'm unsure about the heat rounds. 800 pen is nice, but 800 pen at tier 10 isn't exactly that exceptional. I would like to do one final check on the vehicle's armor profile, and that is going to be against missiles. So let's see. Against the T15, how does it fare? Okay, these are 1,200, so the only place a T15 can pen you is going to be in the lower plate. However, that isn't going to be so cool either, and generally speaking, I think that you should be able to hit that maybe. I'm unsure really. You could go for Cortez as well to be able to max out the damage, but the damage is all he really gives you. But then again, for defense, this vehicle's ready rack is probably going to be the best thing about it, as well as that exceptional penetration. Anyway, that is it for the Atlay overview. Take care everyone, and hopefully I'll be able to do some gameplay footage of this later on. See you all later, and thank you to Ginkasum for providing the lovely voice in the introduction. Take care out there, guys.